You know, we're grading things on PHNX Suns today, and what I'm going to grade right now is the hypothetical trade that sent Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, Grayson Allen, and Jalen Green for Karl-Anthony Towns.
I cannot believe that Erik gave that trade an A.
An A+.
Oh my gosh.
Psychos and sickos unite for a
disgusting.
red pen edition of the PHNX Suns show. Of course, brought to you by friends over at Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHNX365. Deposit 10. Place a bet for 5. Get $150 in bonus bets. I'm Erik. That's Steven. We got Espo. We got Gil. And, of course, the Freckle Mamba behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. Hello to everybody in chat. Hello, Megan. Hello, Deborah. Hello to my dad. Hello, Sora. Hello, Math to the power of Joe. To Patrick. To Nashty. To everybody hanging out with us on a Wednesday as we get into grading the Suns 22 games into the season, plus some NBA news to talk about, a Devin Booker injury update, a Chris Paul update, a Giannis update, and so much more. But hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, make sure you are a member. We have altered the Colin Gillespie emoji to what Jalen Green posted on his Instagram story, which was Colin Gillespie all iced out. So enjoy that one if you are a member. But how are we feeling on a Wednesday?
I think we all need to give Papa Ruby a yo.
Yo. How we feeling on a Wednesday?
I got to admit, I keep thinking it's Tuesday because I remember nothing about Monday outside of seeing the Suns win against the Lakers. My memory has memory hold the entire day. It's been very weird.
That's all that matters on Monday. It's
the only thing that matters.
Only thing that mattered on Monday. Today's been a pretty eventful news day. Wake up to news, get more news in the middle of the day, and more news right before we come here. So a newsy Wednesday.
Yeah.
No, I feel we don't need to hang there too long.
Look, we'll talk about Chris Paul here in a second.
Well, that part too, with that part.
First things first, though, we did get an update from the Phoenix Suns, who confirmed what Shams Charania reported, that Devin Booker has been diagnosed with a right groin strain and will be reevaluated in 1 week's time. Now, in that time, the Suns play the Rockets on Friday, the Timberwolves on Monday, and then 1 week from today is the NBA Cup game against the Oklahoma City Thunder. So I guess it is possible that when they reevaluate him, they say he's ready to go for the Cup because it just means more. But overall, if he had to miss a week, it's probably the lightest 7 days the Suns have had all year.
Can we just admit that the Suns confirmed what they told Shams Charania?
Pretty much, yeah.
But it was the perfect time for him to, if there ever is a perfect time to have your star injured, have it this week and miss 2 games and get reevaluated.
Yeah, a little bit of a relief to hear he's going to be reevaluated in a week's time, better than hearing anything longer than that. And obviously something we talked about, we don't want him to rush back. If he gets reevaluated in a week and they say, you know what, take a few more days. Even though the Cup does mean more, it's okay. But it's good to hear that it's not that serious. Seems like something he'll be able to bounce back from pretty quickly, which take a little bit of a deep breath, sigh of relief.
Yeah, like we talked about after the game on Monday, which is crazy. I'm just fathoming that was just a couple of days ago and not longer. They only played twice this week during Monday to Friday, which is a stark contrast from just last week. So if it had to happen at some point, you would hope it happened where you have a stretch of days where there's more days proverbially off than when you're actually on the court in terms of games. So no practice today, no practice for them yesterday. Hasn't missed much yet, and you hope that it kind of stays that way in terms of the schedule, finally doing you some semblance of a favor.
Yeah, and you hope that they obviously don't rush him back when they do reevaluate him in a week. If there is anything lingering, you would hope that they say, okay, take your time, work your way back, because we have seen, of course, Devin Booker get rushed back in December for a groin injury and then re-strain it or aggravate it or whatever we're going to call it here. By the way, Shams Charania said re-aggravated.
Yeah, so Shane's got beef with him.
So And here's also the thing that I heard some people talking about earlier is that Devin Booker, has had a little bit of dip in play recently, and wondering if maybe this had been something that was slightly nagging and bugging him. And then because there wasn't like one play where you saw Devin Booker like pull up and be like, ooh, like he got hurt there. If it just got to the point where it's like, all right, you need a break. Let's take a week and let's move on from there. Not worried about it, but certainly with how it's felt like some injuries have gone for the Suns, let's get to a week and then see what the like official reevaluation is.
Yeah, it seems like players are always playing through injuries. I'll start there. Everything doesn't warrant being tabbed on the injury report per se, but players are playing through injuries, especially when you're playing the schedule that the Suns have through the first quarter and some change now. So that's nothing new under the sun, but things do tend to pop up stemming from injuries that players are working through over the course of games. It happens sometimes, and it feels like I'm not assuming. I don't want to make it seem like I know something that I just don't, but it seems like this is just one of those soft tissue injuries that takes place over the course of time under tension, which is playing, 3 games in 4 nights after playing 2 back-to-backs prior to then and a bunch of travel mixed in with everything too. So
it happens when you have a schedule like the Suns have and when you have a workload like Devin Booker has. He plays a lot. He's asked to do a lot. And I would say I kind of buy into that. And like I said, we don't know anything about whether he's dealing with it or not, but that does say this guy had a great first quarter. And he's probably been playing hobbled for a while now, and it would explain some of the struggles. And he has been making excuses about it, so hopefully he gets healthy and get back to playing at that all-star level.
Yeah, and we don't technically know. It could have just been something popped up and he's been struggling outside of that.
Yeah.
But I found that interesting considering that it's been a little bit of time now that we've seen Book in an unusual slump. Another piece of just housekeeping news when it comes to the Suns specifically, they have assigned Kaman Malawach and Rasheer Fleming to the G League. The Valley Suns play a game tonight at 7, so definitely something that we'll be keeping our eyes on here. You can keep your eyes on at PHNX_Suns for updates with that. But again, send them down there, get them some game reps, some breaks in between. I would assume that they get recalled from the G League probably as soon as tomorrow.
Speaking of the G League, a big congratulations to this guy.
Yeah.
He sat in
Thank
on
you.
the Valley Suns broadcast last night. A spectacular job. And I'm glad that you are spreading the basketball gospel to the larger masses out there, the G Leaguers.
I appreciate it. Shout out to Bob Adlock, as you'll grow to know. He knows. Obviously, you know better than all of us, which I
Since I
was made aware of.
16.
Yeah, I was just made aware of on Monday. Shout out to Bob. He's always been a guardian angel in sorts in terms of helping me get out here and just being one of those ears outside of PHNX that's always there.
Yeah, good for Steven. Hopefully you're on the broadcast going forward as well. And
Well, only when you don't have work here.
don't get too comfortable over there. You got to be over here. Speaking of not getting comfortable, Chris Paul no longer getting comfortable with the Clippers, as it was announced real early this morning. Well, the Clippers were on a road trip, by the way, and delayed. Their plane had malfunctioned, so they all found out in the middle of the night that Chris Paul will be released by the Los Angeles Clippers in his retirement tour season. You can see it in Steven's eyes, just how angry this has made him.
Just silliness. The best analysis you'll get today. Just silly nonsense. Period.
I mean, the Clippers finding a way to live up to their 40-plus year promise of being the Clippers. It does not matter owner, does not matter city. This organization finds a way to screw things up royally. I mean, can you imagine being Lawrence Frank? I think it was like 3 a.m. in Atlanta when they got there, and you had to be like, "Hey, Chris, can we talk?" And then you tell Chris Paul, "Go home, you're done. We'll figure out a trade or cut you." Like that's ridiculous. And I don't care what the relationship was with Ty Lue or whatever they're going to try to paint this as. You knew what you were getting with Chris Paul.
100%.
He's been in the league how many years? 20, and it's not like it was a surprise what you got with him. So if you weren't prepared for it, that's on you. That's not on Chris Paul.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And like the way it like came out, you said silliness. Like I woke up to the news obviously because it happened overnight, and just to see a Chris Paul Instagram story that says "just found out I'm being sent home with a peace emoji," like that doesn't even seem
Like, what?
real. Like that seems like something that somebody would parody of this if they found out this story would happen, but it actually happened. And now to hear more details about Chris Paul was calling out the organization, saying like, hey, we need to improve on this or do that. And they guess we're just tired of hearing it. Like you said, you get mad at Chris Paul for being Chris Paul. Also saying it came from I want you guys to be better. They're what, 5-16? Like what?
And the expectations are championship for that roster off of the tax alone, let alone the names on the roster. What do you mean?
Losers are going to be losers. That's the Clippers story.
That's what I was going to say.
That's the question. Do you guys think you're playing well? Like, was he wrong? Like, come on, man.
And that's the thing, right? Well, first of all, I would like to sincerely thank the Los Angeles Clippers for already becoming more embarrassing than the 2024-2025 Phoenix Suns. Because this is ridiculous.
1/4 of the season.
This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous, right? Not only are they technically like a worse basketball team, but first of all, you start off with the whole Pablo Torre finds out that you're paying Kawhi under the table, allegedly, because of a tree planting thing and completely expose you there, right? Then you just play awfully. Now you're getting terrible PR before the Chris Paul stuff. Kawhi's talking about how we need more talented players. Meanwhile, you have the oldest roster in the league and you're shelling out like the most money. Then it's like, hey, not only are we gonna like release a guy who screw like that he's a legend in the NBA, right? He's a legend for your franchise.
Brought relevance to that franchise.
He took your franchise and started what had been now 11 straight seasons for them of a winning record and being in the playoffs. Like Chris Paul was the beginning of that. And he came back home. You're posting on socials about him retiring. And I know that's not the socials person's fault, but like he literally just officially announced that it's his last season, like a week and a half ago? Okay. 2 weeks ago?
But if they supposedly been having these problems, that's what's starting to leak out. Is there a chance, because Chris Paul's savvy as hell, that he dropped that just because he knew if things got bad in LA that it was going to make it look that much worse for them? Because letting that guy go during his final season, to your point, has helped the Clippers actually not be a joke. They decided to have this marriage to come back together because he wanted to come back to the Clippers, wanted to play at home. And then on top of it, he announces, yes, this is my final year. It's so bad. It's embarrassing. The only way that I think this could get funnier is if Chris Paul announces that his plans are to go work for a tree company after this just to troll the Clippers. So.
I say one of my favorite quotes from him, show me someone that's okay with losing, I'll show you a loser.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, and it's 100% the way it is.
13 and just going about things as if there's not some significant underwhelming going on, that's an immediate disconnect. It doesn't, regardless of what franchise you're playing with, you're 5-13, you're okay with it, you're not going to have an all-time great competitor just be okay with everything.
How do you have Chris Paul in your building you refuse to meet with him? Like, seriously, and you're Ty Lue, man. Like, you're not some person who's new to the game. Like, you're Ty Lue, and you're not going to meet with Chris Paul? Like, what? It's so funny. It's like, what are you doing? But now, obviously, the question turns to what's next for Chris Paul. He obviously wants to continue to play basketball, or at least that's what it seems like in his final year. He wanted to retire a Clipper. That's not going to happen. There are some teams that have been reported with interest, the Suns not being one of them. From my opinion, it would make sense for the Suns to forego bringing Chris Paul back at this point with their style of play, where they stand with guard depth. Does anybody disagree with that opinion? Anybody think that it would be a good move for the Suns to look into bringing Chris Paul with their open full-time roster spot?
Not after watching them run the Lakers out of the gym. I love Chris Paul. Obviously, I think he can still bring value to a team, but a team that wants to get up and down the floor like that, him at 40, I don't necessarily think that that's it. Now, if they just want a locker room presence to be that and I guess just be an extension of the coach and come in every now and then, I think that he can do that, but I just don't think that it makes sense, especially with the guards we've seen, the guys we're seeing step into bigger roles. He'd be a great mentor for them, but I think that he probably needs a different type of situation idea than that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like the timelines match as far as him being with this team. They're trending younger, they're trending playing faster, doing some different things defensively with their guards. Things that aren't necessarily the highest of his qualities at this stage of his career. So, no, I don't think it makes too much sense for him to come back.
Yeah, especially with Jordan Ott being a rookie coach and having appeared to have found his voice and running the locker room. You want that to be the main voice there in a locker room. I hope he finds the right fit. I hope he finds a place that he can have an impact because he deserves to go out in a much better way than this. Like, I know he wants to stay close to family, but the idea of Dallas, who needs, guard help, he could actually potentially have an impact there. But if not, he's going to be on a coaching staff. He's going to be a great broadcaster wherever he wants to go. He's got everything that you'd want in either of those positions.
Well, look, obviously we'll be keeping tabs on what's next with Chris Paul. I would consider him, a Phoenix Suns legend, considering the impact that he had in his time here, how far they got in the playoffs, and his performances that helped them got there.
Ring of honor member, am I right?
I think so.
Go watch Southwest Bias and change my tune.
You did.
I did some research, and there's a very distinct reason too that I think he gets in based on the criteria of one other member of the Ring of Honor that I think you can forego the three only being there 3 years based on looking.
Because he's bald like Charles Barkley?
No. Actually, Charles used to be my argument against it, but I found an argument that makes more sense for it based on a little additional research.
I will say this is the most shocking thing to happen with Chris Paul since that tweet. And I think we all know what I'm talking about here. One last piece of NBA housekeeping news before we take our first break and start grading the Phoenix Suns' exciting start to the season. NBA trade season is going to be very exciting, as rumors have now been reported that Giannis Antetokounmpo is working with the Milwaukee Bucks to get traded. Obviously, he is currently a top 5 player, top 3 player in the world. On any given night, he could be the best player in the world. He's a champion. We don't have to remind everybody of that, but also a multi-time MVP, multi-time All-Star, Defensive Player of the Year. This is the biggest name to hit the trade market publicly in a very, very long time. Obviously, I think a lot of teams are wondering, how do we get Giannis? But the first step of the situation is, does Giannis want you? Right now, it looks like the New York Knicks are at the top of that list.
Yeah, that was the report this summer. I mean, okay, it's usually Knicks, LA, we know the drill here. We know where the league likes their stars. We know where a lot of the stars like to go, and sure, New York can take that swing.
It'd be very crazy if just beat them on Monday, but within a matter of 10 months, 2 of the league's biggest stars go to the Lakers and the Knicks. If that were to happen, it wouldn't be crazy if that happened. I'm curious to see, obviously, if Giannis becomes available, it's your due diligence as a general manager. All 29 of them should at least just get a feel 28. OKC, they're fine. But
they have enough.
But they have enough that they can make it work if they really wanted to. But you do due diligence and make that call. I'm curious to see. I know Masai Ujiri is no longer in Toronto, but they were always linked in. There's a huge Greek population in Toronto. I know they wanted to do it before, but I do think it's going to be the Knicks. And if the Knicks can't put together what's necessary, then you open the rest of the field. But the Knicks going to have the first and second shot, honestly.
Yeah, the 2 teams that kept coming up for Giannis over the offseason was Toronto because of the Ujiri connection that's lasted before Giannis came stateside.
Yep.
And it's bigger than basketball there. And then obviously people were talking about the Brooklyn Nets because that was a franchise that was looking to turn a new corner.
Yeah.
Had, 5 first-round picks this past season? 4 or 5 first-round picks?
5.
And a bunch of young talent as well. So they had the youthful talents to facilitate as well as the draft capital. Obviously, that didn't happen, and they did what they did. Don't imagine that's happening. New York has been something. I think he owns real estate in New York in some capacity, and he likes to be there in the offseason. Obviously, New York is New York, so that's part of it. But people have their antennas up because of that. I would keep a close eye on San Antonio because they have all of the picks and all of the players that they didn't have to use because of the incompetence of the Sacramento
Stay
Kings.
in the East, please.
Thank the Kings for that. The fact that they didn't have to give up too much to get De'Aaron Fox last season and still have a treasure trove of assets and picks, that's something that they could entertain as viably as anybody else should Giannis choose them as a franchise he's interested in.
Can you actually have an alien and a freak on the same roster?
We might be getting ready to find out.
I can't, man. I can't, man. If the Lakers get Luka and the Spurs not only walk ass backwards into Wemby but get picked by Giannis, I'm going there too. I can't do that.
I would also just say too, Giannis training with Wemby on a daily basis. We saw what a couple of months of Giannis with Kevin Garnett looked like. We saw what a couple of months of Giannis with Hakeem looked like in terms of the footwork and him being more aggressive coming into this season. Playing with Giannis on a daily basis and training and watching film and working out, having conversations, they turned into what they've been for quite as long as any other franchise, and that's a hub for international talent, the likes that we've never seen before.
I will say, if your eyes are on New York, just because of the lifestyle,
Yeah.
maybe San Antonio's not also on that list.
And I don't think it's on New York just for the lifestyle. So one of the major airports in New York, I forget which one, is the only airport in the United States that has yearly nonstop trips to Greece. So if
Do you think he's flying commercial though?
I'm just saying, like, in general, like, that's for his family or whatever and all that. So
Sorry, Thon.
that is
You don't get on the PJ. You
My
get
fault, bro.
no, dude. If he requests to go to the Spurs, I need Silver to pull a Stern and word to Chris Paul
Not
saying
doing it.
not happening. But we all know Adam Silver. He'd be like, ooh, TV ratings, yeah. So we will obviously keep you up to date. We'll see what happens with Giannis. Of course, the
imagine
reports.
having to go up against that team.
No, I don't want to. Okay,
Lord.
No, thank you.
I don't want
I'm
to.
okay. I'm
Good
all
Super
Lord.
I don't
teams
want
don't
to.
work anymore.
Giannis and Wemby would work.
Jeez.
The only way they stop that team is if Kyle Kuzma comes along with Giannis, and then it's over for them. We aren't going to focus on the Spurs the rest of the show. We are going to give our quarter season grades for the Phoenix Suns. Hopefully good grades, maybe some tough grades. We'll have to see, and you will see on the other side of our first break. Well, if you want to catch Wemby, Giannis, and the Spurs come to the morgue, you can do that and get tickets over on Game Time. And I promise you, and they promise you, that you will be able to get those tickets for the lowest price guaranteed. Or Game Time will literally credit you 110% of the difference. Now, I've tried to find lower prices than Game Time. I just haven't been able to do it. Game Time also gives you a panoramic view from your seat. They give you favorites. They give you zone deals when you save even more when you choose a section and let Game Time choose the seats. Plus, they have the fees included up front. You know what you're going to be paying before you check out. No surprises with Game Time except for being surprised with all the great deals. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, create an account, redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today.
You want to feel like the Lakers, the Knicks, the Spurs, and win the lottery? Well, Arizona Lottery can help you out here when you play their great scratcher tickets this holiday season. I love it because I've talked about a personal connection. My grandfather used to send any winnings he'd get from a scratch ticket to me and his other grandchildren. It was Papa's bingo money, and this year you can start traditions like that this holiday season with their 6 festive scratchers tickets. You've got Candy Cane Cash, which smells like peppermint. And like I told you, if you're on your way to a date, pick one up. If you forgot your cologne, you can smell good too and win some money. And then also they have the Cash Countdown, which has prizes up to $250,000, a quarter of $1 million. You're going to want to do it. They make great gifts, great stocking stuffers. You can get them even on the day of Christmas if you forget your gifts. It's a Christmas hack, a holiday hack. So why wouldn't you do it? Love to play and spread the holiday cheer with the holiday scratchers from Arizona Lottery. Play and gift today with the Arizona Lottery.
Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We'll hopefully be smelling good, maybe smelling like peppermint on Monday for our watch party over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Wild Horse Pass. Come hang out with us. It's Gil's first watch party. Come show Gil a good time. Espo is buying drinks, and we're all watching the Suns take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Tip-off is at 5:30. Pre-game is at 5. We'll be getting there even before that if you want to come by. But if not, come around tip-off, and then we can all hang out and watch our beautiful Phoenix Suns play that game of basketball that we all enjoy together with some great food, some giveaways, and immaculate vibes only. RSVP for free to be entered into our raffles over at gophnx.com/events. Again, it's free and Espo's buying you a drink. It's a good investment and it's a good time.
Espo's trying to be like T-Pain, and word on the street, on the Sun streets, is that Gil is trying to see how much party is involved with that watch part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my first time.
Don't embarrass us in front of Gil. Everybody show up for Gil.
Who's T-Pain?
Nah, I know you're lying. I know you're lying about that one.
He didn't mean it.
We extended Cyber Monday.
You're lying.
We're on
You're
Cyber
lying
Wednesday,
twice?
right? Cyber
Yeah,
Wednesday.
we're
Is that
Cyber
right?
Wednesday.
We're cybering all week long. Wait, that didn't sound right. Just for the rest of today, you can become a member of the
diehard. Our inner circle personally. You can go to the inner circle
threw me
for free.
off when you pointed at the
My
screen
fault.
with Kara's
We're
message.
basically giving away our diehard memberships for free. Our lowest price ever.
7% off. Why not? $26 for the year. Guess what? That is the price of, that's actually less than the price of one of our shirts or hats, and you get one free. So why not do it? Become a diehard today. We've got plenty of things coming up in 2026 that will be diehard only that you are going to want to experience. So get in now. And enjoy the savings. $26 for that first year.
It's great. Look, the Suns community has been awesome in there. It's always great just to talk ball, break news, talk about the dumb trade ideas that random aggregation accounts put out there. But it's not just for Suns. It's for all Arizona sports plus lifestyle stuff. There's an anime one. There's a gaming one. Like, there's all sorts of different channels in our Discord, and a lot of people have become very good friends in there. So come tap in and have a good time. Talk some ball with us.
Yeah. Sean, sure. Quadruple whiskey neat if you want. If you come out.
Now we're talking for Steven. That's perfect.
Are we?
Sure, I'll get you a quadruple whiskey neat.
Let's get Steven drunk on Monday.
What? How can never mind.
Yeah.
No,
Steve, let's get Steven drunk on Monday.
This is why Pop said to watch you guys.
Yeah, I like where your head's at, Sean.
More than enough for me.
Look, the Phoenix Suns obviously have had a really fun start to their season. We are going to give our grades on the classic American grading scale, A to F.
Oh.
No, not in emojis, although that was fun. We might have to do that again. That was fun that we did that a couple of years ago. Look, these are the categories that we are going.
We did it last season too.
Yeah, did we? Well, who knows? It feels like about 16 years, to be honest with you.
Yeah, 4 scores.
It feels about 45 years ago.
That was a lot of clown emojis.
Yeah, a lot of clown emojis, a lot of anyway. Okay, here are the categories that we will be grading today. So, of course, we'll have an overall grade that will average out for all of us after we go through each category, but we're starting with coaching, then we'll go to the front office, then we'll do offense, defense, starting five, bench mob, blue collarness, antics, and alignment. So what we're going to do is we're going to go category by category. We will all reveal our grades for that category, and then we'll talk about it. I'm going to be honest, I'm expecting some pretty high grades, so who knows? Maybe we'll be shocked. But let's go ahead and start with Steven. Steven, let's go with your best friend, Jordan Ott. What would you grade the coaching of the Phoenix Suns through one quarter of the season?
The coaching gets an A, a solid A, and I think it's much earned because he's gotten more out of the sum of his fragmented faction parts, considering the injury adversity he's had to work up against, while not allowing for that to linger as an excuse for them. He's quite literally defied not being given an excuse to lean into, but when it's ever brought up, like, yeah, that's factored into it, but we're bigger than that, and we know that we have other ways that we can navigate things even amidst that. So from mindset alone, the culture established, or that they're working to establish, the identity that is established, and the way that they play to those qualities, regardless of what percentage of the roster is available, I think that garners nothing less than an A. And then you look at the results on top of that, they're in a very good space, largely because of his kind of handling of things from the helm.
Yeah, I think I'll go over mine as well. I actually think you're low here. I think you got to give them. When you look at it all, everything that not just Jordan Ott, but this entire coaching staff has been able to do, including Damari Carroll's hair, and
Jesse's phrase.
I'll give him credit. They're nice. He needs to get the hell off my corner because it's my shtick here. Yeah, I mean it's my shtick, and he's stealing it. But that as well. I think you got to give the coaches an A+ for what they've been able to accomplish, because culture starts obviously from above the coaches with the GM and everything that's set there. But then when you dial it back, and it's the coaches that have to implement it day in, day out. It's a system that they have to have that makes these players believe in what they're trying to accomplish. And I think they've done that in these first 22 games about as well as any coaching staff I've seen in Phoenix get a group to buy in, very much like what we saw with Monty getting those guys to buy in, but even more effectively when you look at the win or loss in season one.
Yeah, I mean, no disagreements. Everything that you said and then some. I was of the belief that AS is how you could go, but I went with A in an A+ mentality. But everything we said about him getting the most out of the players, the belief, their willingness to run through a wall, take charges, and the ingenuity, the creativity that he's used when not having his full complement of players, nothing less than exemplary great for me. So, I think the best yet to come to.
Guys, once again, you're all underselling Jordan on and the Phoenix Suns. Look, as much as, you think that, he just deserves an A or an A+, the reality of the situation is that's just not high enough. It's an A+++++.
Just a one-upper.
Look, this guy, Jordan Ott, and this coaching staff have changed my life. Seriously, they went from jokes of the NBA to now you've got national pundits talking about how hard they work, about JJ Redick saying this team's going to expose you, and doing it without Jalen Green, doing it with a rotating starting five, doing it with guys like Jamari Bouye playing 20 minutes and having a great plus-minus once he gets picked up off the street. You're doing it without Kaman Malawatch and Rasheer Fleming, who we were all high on, really being a part of the rotation at all. Nigel Hayes-Davis isn't in the rotation anymore, but you have found a way to use guys like Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal, guys that were on the team last year in new and creative and unique ways. You've let Colin run free, play the best basketball of his career. The guys are having fun and the fans are excited. Sean says Jordan Ott saved my life for real. It's real.
Kara, we went from drunk coach to a magician.
Legitimately, we did. And maybe I'm grading on a curve because of last season and honestly the last two seasons. But to be able to have the Suns' best players be returning players from last year and to do what you've done despite all the injuries that you've had to deal with, honestly, I have zero complaints about how Jordan Ott and how the staff have prepared the team, have coached the team, have adjusted to challenges, to timeouts, to in-game changing at halftime. I am beyond impressed with just the culture that this coaching staff has set in their short time now, a quarter of the way into the season.
And the memes he's
double
provided.
Check that. A+.
He does have A+ on there. All right.
So you had an A+.
I know you just edited that, but that's fine.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Look, obviously we're all very high on Jordan Ott. We have a lot more categories to get to, and we are going to do that on the other side of our second break. A+++++ to Mountain America Credit Union. Not only the exclusive home of the Suns and Mercury cards, but you can pair those cards with the Elite My Style checking account. Unlock perks like mobile phone protection, identity protection, telehealth access, restaurant deals, loan rate discounts, offers on travel and events, and so much more. But it doesn't have to just be a My Style checking account with your Suns or your Mercury card. It can also be a no annual fee credit card, available in options like low rate, cash bag, or a rewards card option as well. Mount America is here to guide you forward on your financial journey, presenting you with different opportunities, and honestly just having great people in the building. If you ever have any questions about opening up a credit card or mortgages, loans, investments, and everything of the sort, Mount America Credit Union is here for you. And of course, you can get your exclusive Suns and Mercury card today. Apply at any Arizona branch. Visit macu.com/Suns to learn more. Insured by NCUA. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. Loans on approved credit.
Got to be honest. I go into the holidays with this idea that I'm going to give like this really, really thoughtful gift and try to figure it out. And then I'm here like 400 hours in the month of December, and I wind up not doing that. And then I settle for a gift card because I go, well, that's what's left and it's easy. But you don't have to do that, because the perfect personalizable gift is Aura, the frame. You're going to want to check it out because you can buy it and you can upload photos and videos to it, and you can give it to the person that you love. And it's very, very personalized. And it's not like one of those bulky frames that digital frames that you get. It's sleek. It looks great. It actually blends in with everything in the home. So not only are they getting a personalized gift, but something that looks good. So for a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, which is one of my favorite publications, by using promo code PHNX at checkout. That's Aura Frames, AURAFrames.com, promo code PHNX. This deal is exclusive to our viewers. Frames sell out fast, so order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply, like everything in life.
Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. No terms and conditions apply to that. It's just free and the best thing that you could possibly do if you are a Phoenix Suns or an Arizona sports fan, you can become a member. That costs you $5 a month, but we're adding all sorts of great emojis like the Jordan Ott and the Colin Gillespie emoji that's in there for Suns fans right now. And of course, you can become a diehard for just $26. It is an awesome deal that you won't get any other time of the year, so make sure you take advantage for that as well. Let's talk about this offense. Steven, you're saying A+ for the coaching. Is that what we're on? Mm-hmm. A+ for the coaching. Okay. For that front office, for the front office, where would you go?
Front office, I'm giving an A-. And I think they've hit very well on mostly everything that they've done. I think the minus part is just because the verdict is still out on the draft picks. I think when we can fairly assess them is once we get a breadth of this season to see, okay, what did Kaman do this season? How did Kobe Bryant look if he spent the majority of the season on a G League level? Did he grow? Rasheer Fleming, what did he look like coming into the season versus what he looks like at the end? So that one's relatively incomplete, but for what we've seen through the first quarter of the season, independent of the draft picks, the other guys that they brought into the mix, they get an A- from me.
I think you're cheating off my paper. That's what I'm going to tell you.
Well, I just showed you mine, so I could never cheat off it.
You just looked over here, typed it up. I know.
Oh, yeah.
I look at the front office, and I give them an A- as well. I think that there's a few reasons why. I mean, I could see if somebody wanted to go in like the B+ range and wanted to say, hey, don't know about the draft picks. You missed on Nigel Hayes Davis, and you wanted to go that way. But I look at it and you go, okay, Jamari Bouye is a guy that came in and played well. They made the decision on Jordan Goodwin, not only to bring him in, but then keep him on the roster where some other people may have leaned in the Jared Butler direction. They've, Colin coming in and playing the way he has, the fact that they decided to keep him. It's all these things on the margins that have allowed you to go through injury issues and not have that take your team down, because a lot of teams would have folded with the injury issues that they have. It's these guys on the periphery, even Isaiah Livers, who has played a role in the rotation this year, who was just kind of nice guy to add on a two-way. That's the sign of a front office that knows what they're doing and operates in a really good manner. And I go back to Bouye coming in and they looking at CJ Huntley going, he's not going to be able to help us right now. Let's get a guy that can on a two-way. And it's paid huge dividends.
Yeah, that Huntley-Bouye decision was kind of what made me actually be, I guess, the kindest. I went with an A again there, just thinking about Bouye, thinking about some of the decisions in the margins that they've made. These guys having the ability to identify two-way contract players who aren't just there for bodies, aren't just there to mainly spend their time with the G League team. They can come in and they can have real time and real minutes with the big NBA team and make their presence felt, as we've seen with Jamari Bouye in multiple big games already. So I give the front office credit. I also think with the draft picks, the verdict is just out. So I don't really put too much stock into that either way. It's just one of those things where maybe at the end of the year, it'll be easier to grade them based on that. So I kind of held that out with my grading, but that is definitely something that will be something taken further into account as the season goes on.
Yeah, I also went with an A, and I think a name that needs to be mentioned in this is the fact that they signed Colin Gillespie and that they retained Colin Gillespie, right? We talk about margin moves, and obviously the Isaiah Livers, Jamari Bouye side of things, that's awesome, right? I do think that with talent evaluation in the draft, I've seen enough flashes to feel comfortable. Obviously, you'd like to see maybe a little bit more production from them, but I really do believe in the 3 draft picks that they made. And also the front office, their job is to help build this culture that I was raving about with my previous grade of coaching. They have to implement it, but the front office has to build a group of guys that does that. You traded for Dylan Brooks, right? That is an absolute culture-setting move. You retain Colin Gillespie. That has been an absolute culture-setting move. I'm high on what Jalen Green can be, which I wasn't at first, and I've come around on that quite a bit. Obviously, we need to see him play. I also supported extending Devin Booker as well. So I feel like they've been making a lot of right decisions. Now, if I felt like the rookies were a hit and we saw Jalen Green working out and all of that, okay. Or if Nigel Hayes Davis was a rotation piece, I would go into that A+ category. But when the hits, in my opinion so far outweigh the maybe 1 or 2 misses that they made, it's hard not to be impressed when like we made jokes about the Michigan State stuff with Jordan Ott, but
No,
it was
no.
Not we.
No,
in
not we.
a lot of Suns fans did, but like a lot of people did in general. But I do think that when it came to Brian Gregory, he is the one that has proven the most people wrong. And again, I think people were okay to have their doubts when it happened because he did not have a track record and experience in this specific position. But if he's also the guy who invested in Ryan Deninoso-Ighodaro and told the Suns to draft them last season as well, this is a guy whose track record is building up in a very short time to be pretty solid. So I think an A or an A- are all very admirable grades for a front office that was honestly, like, not just for Suns fans, from a national perspective, like the butt of the joke over the summer before everything happened afterwards.
Yeah, well, look, you look at it and really most of the internet looks like the Nick Young meme where he shot the ball and he's turned around like, hey, I made it. And he's clanking it, right? That's what the internet looks like right now when it comes to Brian Gregory and Jordan Ott. And most of us, didn't have huge bad things to say here on this program, but there were a lot of them externally.
Sure. Yeah. Look,
the two biggest for me are the Colin Gillespie piece and the Jordan Goodwin piece because. Colin is a direct example, like I've mentioned before, of everything they want to see in the players that they're bringing in. Valuing the people side of it in tandem with the talent recognition. The talent is cool. How you add into the people part of it on a daily basis, which Colin does in droves as a teammate and as a presence in the Villain Jr. dynamic that he's leaned into. And then on the Jordan Goodwin side of it, that decision, I feel like some people kind of just glossed over it when it was at the end of training camp. They had to make a decision because they wanted to keep a roster spot open. And people were saying, oh, Jared Butler just dropped, what was it, 30, almost 40 points on the Lakers in the final game? It should be Jordan Goodwin's spot or Jared Butler's spot. I'm like, oh, like that's very good. And Jared Butler deserves a roster spot somewhere. But for this Suns team that has talent at the guard spot in the scoring department, you need someone that's going to give you something different. And we've seen that come to fruition and play to their favor in the first quarter.
I think we forgot a Jordan to give him credit for, too. He hired
Jordan. Hiring Jordan on.
Yeah.
These two grades go very much hand in hand. And again, a lot of time to go with a lot of these moves. Come on, Rasheer, obviously Jalen Green. We're going to have to kind of see what happens with Colin Gillespie. Do you extend them? But as of right now, I think we're all in a pretty positive space overall, which I think is just amazing to really think about here in December when you look back 7 months ago and you're like, oh, things were not that great. But what about the offense, Steven? When you're grading the offense in general, what would you give them?
Well, coming into today, they are 9th in offense and they're 14th in half-court offensive rating. So 9th in general offense, 14th in the half-court. I gave them a B- for offense so far through this first quarter of the season. There's some food being left on the table at times, and it's sometimes coming to plague them. The natural first piece that people want to speak to is the turnovers and the kind of rash that they come in at times. That's something they can certainly improve upon. I think outside of that, they're number 30 in the league in terms of attempts in the restricted area, indicating their lack of prowess getting to the rim. They don't have a problem getting paint touches, but what about the deep paint touches? Mark Williams is the biggest piece in that. I imagine Jalen Green will be the biggest driving force, literally and figuratively, in that. Grayson's been sensational putting the ball on the deck this season, which we've documented plenty. Devin Booker's been really good there, especially compared to last season and the year before that. That's just 4 pieces of a 15-player roster. You want to see them be able to address that in process, if not by bringing in some talent that can help with that going forward, especially if teams are going to try to switch more against them. So room for improvement, but acknowledging that they've been very good considering where I just said they ranked 9th and 14th respectively.
Yeah, I don't disagree that there's room for improvement. I went slightly higher. I gave him B+, mostly because of the offensive system that Jordan Ott's brought in and the ball movement and the quality shots that they've generated out of it. I think there's definitely room for improvement. And I think we will see a different level when Jalen Green comes out. I think there'll be a whole nother portion of this offense that's unlocked there. But for where they were last year, with the amount of talent they had, and particularly offensively, and it just looked disjointed the whole time, when you see that ball movement, when you see the way that they're approaching their sets and how they're doing things, I felt like a B+ was probably where I needed to land because it's been impressive to me.
I landed right in the middle. I was a B, solid B. I took into both of those things into account. I think what comes back to me is that a lot of these games, when the Suns are taking on teams with potent offenses, we consistently say, I don't know if they're going to have the firepower to hang with this team. And I think that it's because there's room for improvement. It's because we haven't seen this offense at full strength with its full complement of guys. And so it's kind of like an incomplete in a sense that there's plenty of room for improvement with this offense. And there's something to be encouraged by that, the fact that there have been guys in and out of the lineup, and we haven't been able to see this system work as it's intended to work at its highest level, that it can be better. And I think we'll have fewer conversations about them having the firepower to match other teams.
I also went with a B, but if we were grading on a curve, I do think that they should get an A, considering that they have not had their second offensive engine and their second best offensive player all year. And they're top 10 offense in the NBA right now. But I think a B or a B minus or a B plus, anywhere in that range is completely fair. They've certainly had those games where they're not hitting threes. And a lot of the times in these games that they've won, it's been on the backs of their defense, right? And their defense, it's like, how are they still in this game when they can't hit a shot? How are they only down 4? How are they going into half up 1? And then they kind of hit this hot streak. You're able to sustain it a little bit more when you have your second creator, your second generator on offense. But finding unique ways to use a Grayson Allen or Royce O'Neal, who had 11 assists last game. Like, there have been really great creative processes with the offense. I do think that the coaching part of it, it's like, okay, yeah, you get an A plus for how you're coaching the offense, but some of it also comes down to execution. And I think that for me goes down to a B. We still have to grade the defense, the starting five, the bench mob, blue collarness, antics, and alignment. We got a lot of people also sharing their grades in chat. Keep on doing that. Keep on spamming the new Colin Gillespie motion emoji, plus the Jordan Ott one and the Dylan Brooks one and the alignment one as well. We'll keep these grades rolling on the other side of our final break. I absolutely love Rally House. I like going in person and walking around, seeing what type of new items they have in there for my favorite teams. Not just the Suns and ASU, because I know that's my brand, but look, I'm a Diamondbacks fan. I'm a Cardinals fan, even if I don't want to admit it. Look, I am an Arizona sports guy through and through, and Rally House is the go-to shop for all your favorite local Arizona team gear in Tempe, Mesa, or Glendale in person. But honestly, just go open the browser, rallyhouse.com. Hundreds, and I mean hundreds of pages. Plus, Rally House ships locally, so they get their items to your door fast. You're not ordering an Arizona State shirt and it's getting shipped from Kansas. No, it's getting shipped from Arizona, and you'll get it a lot faster than a lot of other places. But it's not just your basics, it's also the fun stuff. Drinkware, signage, cooler, socks. Hell, they even have sunscreen. But don't worry, they also have you covered with jerseys and hats and shirts and shorts and everything you need to be a Arizona sports fan. So find your local Rally House location or shop their entire product assortment online at www.rallyhouse.com today.
You know, it's a fun way to kind of make Suns games a little bit more interesting.
Lose bets.
Friends at Bet365
Yes.
and their live in-game betting. They pioneered it, and they pioneered it as well. And why would you not want to take part in it? They've got unbelievable different things that you can bet in during the games, but also the app is just so easy to use. The interface, I love when I get to use Bet365 for all that. And right now, they've got a special offer just for you when you sign up and you put in $10. You're going to get $150 in bonus bets. All you got to do is deposit $10, place a bet of $5, and if you win or lose, which I've done a lot lately, you can get $150 in bonus bets. Just that easy. Bonus bets can be used on spreads, player props, futures, and so much more. So whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with Bet365. Must be 21 and over, physically located in AZ. If you're someone has a gambling problem, wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text up to 53342 or visit problemgambling.az.gov.
Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well if you're just joining us, like Cav in the chat saying, what's up with Book's injury? He'll be reevaluated in a week. We dove into that at the beginning of the show. Plus, we talked about, of course, Chris Paul being done dirty by the Clippers and the Giannis, of course, trade request. Also, just a little sprinkle of news in here, according to Brett Siegel, who is a friend of the program. He says the Pelicans will accept, quote, the first decent, reasonable offer, end quote, made for Zion Williamson.
Chris Paul back to New Orleans for Zion Williamson.
Well, who's getting traded because Chris Paul ain't on a team anymore? But
he is. He hasn't been cut.
We might be in store for a trade machine edition of the show next week as we get closer to December 15th, just to explore a couple different options, because I think it's very interesting where the Suns are sitting. I'm not saying I'm just saying in general, things are starting to pick up. Of course, December 15th, the date a lot of the league becomes eligible to trade, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about grades, not trades. So let's go ahead and get on over to that defense. Steven, you gave a B- for the offense. Where would you go on the other side of the ball?
Yeah, they get an A for their defense. They're coming into today's games of play 8th in defensive rating, and they're 11th in half-court defense. So they've been very, very good on the defensive end. I feel like that's been the identity stamp inside where we see the ways in which they want to play show up most frequently. And I think that's their route to success. The ceiling for their defense, whatever that ultimately is going to determine how much success they can get out of the first year with Jordan. And it's the adaptability for me that continues to stand out. So game 1 against the Kings, whole lot more switching than they showed in the preseason. Mark Williams getting out there against Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Russell Westbrook, Dennis Schroeder, guarding his yard in space, contesting shots. All of a sudden, they come back and win that game after being down almost 20 at halftime and giving up 71 in the first half. Other games over the course of the season, Victor Wembanyama, Anthony Edwards, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves. All of these top-tier talents, they've shown to be very attentive to the details, adaptable in their process to take things away and just put pressure on opponents. And it's an unrelenting pressure that goes across multiple lineups. All those things considered, there's more numbers to talk to with it. That's an A defensive team, almost A+ for me.
Yeah, it's an A because when you got jabronis like Bill Simmons out there saying they're going to be 30th, Zach Lowe, who I respect, but said that he couldn't see them being better than 27th on defense, and they come out and they find creative ways to shut down some of the bigger names in the league. Their turnovers are leading to points, which is helping the offense when it has those moments of slowing down and helping the fact that you don't have these great offensive creators that have had to go to the bench at times due to injury. That defense has been the identity, has been the engine, and has kind of been the soul of this team that's led to so many of these good vibes. So it has to be an A when you use all the context that you have there.
Yeah, I basically was right there. I went A-, so I'm being harsh.
Get this guy out of here.
See you guys, I'm out.
The minus, please.
A- just to give them something to keep pushing for as the season goes on, because I'm sure that they're aware.
Bulletin board material, Gil.
I'm giving them bulletin board
not giving.
to keep. You know what I'm saying? Keep
them
going.
Bill Simmons.
But keep them going. But honestly, I mean, genuinely had to be in the A range. We say it again every night. They're making teams work on that end of the floor, and I know that it's going to be a consistent defensive effort. There are small lapses here and there, possession to possession, but not game to game, and that's the most impressive part about the consistency on the defensive end.
Yeah, I also went with an A, like some of you guys as well. The reasonable ones around here. It's been a fun defensive watch as well. I think you look back to the game against Wemby and the type of scheme they put out there. They've been creative. They've been different. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Luka, after the Lakers game, said that the Suns defense confused him because they let him score. And Luka had one of his highest turnover margins of the entire season because the Suns took away the pass instead of taking away the scoring, which is what a lot of teams try to do. The preparedness, a lot of this goes into the overall coaching. I am curious to see what this looks like fully healthy, but you can go individually down each player. Even Devin Booker has been a positive on defense this year. It's just all around been really great, really solid. That's clearly this team's identity, and that, of course, is what does travel. And so hopefully that's something that continues for this season. I'm interested on everybody's take on this next category here. The starting five, which obviously we've only seen what we consider the fully healthy starting five never this season, except for 7 minutes against the Clippers, because if you remember, Jalen Green's first game that he came back, that he played 23 minutes, Dylan Brooks was out of that game. So do we judge this based off of a majority of the starting fives that we've seen, or do we just say it's incomplete and move on?
Well, it's either Booker, Allen, Brooks, O'Neal, and Williams, or Gillespie, Booker, Brooks, O'Neal, and Williams. I feel like no other lineup suggests being deemed the starting unit because those are the two lineups that they've been used essentially the most. Unless you want to throw Dunn out there in that mix in place of Dylan Brooks, which I wouldn't do. So Which one is it? Is it Gillespie, Booker, Brooks, O'Neal, Williams, or Booker, Allen, Brooks, O'Neal, Williams?
Yes.
I'm on the opposite side. I don't think you can. I don't think you can judge it. I was a kid early on in school, in elementary school, that would forget my homework a lot, so I would get that incomplete grade a lot of times, and I feel like that's where we're at with these injuries. We don't know what this starting five looks like because guess what? We keep forgetting it at home. They're injured, so incomplete. Yeah. I'm like, incomplete is all I can give because I don't know what they are right now.
Yeah, my version of giving them an incomplete was giving them a B, and that's just kind of a baseline of, what we've seen, you can't really be mad at because they're just doing what they can, and obviously doing what they can is 13-9. So I'm not saying doing what they can is bad, but it's just like, listen, we'll have to judge it again once we see it. Hopefully, fingers crossed, knock on wood, whatever it is, at full strength eventually, sooner rather than later.
Look, I gave it a B as well. Understanding that you can't grade the fully healthy starting five, obviously, but I do feel like the right buttons have been pushed in this starting five, whether it has been Jordan Goodwin starting or Ryan Dunn starting or Colin Gillespie starting or Grayson Allen starting. It's always been clicking, right? There's never been really a moment when you're like, ooh, that starting five hasn't really been doing that well. Obviously, you have some games here and there where you have a slow start. You need the bench guys to come in and give you a spark, but I've really enjoyed pretty much every iteration of the starting lineup so far this year, but I honestly could be talked into it incomplete as well, just because even with the starting lineups that we've liked, we haven't seen one for a 2-week stretch of time that hasn't had somebody moving in and out. And we won't still for a little bit, obviously without Jalen Green, but now also without Devin Booker for at least a week. One thing we can grade, though, is the bench mob.
Yeah, but Steven, I interrupted. I apologize. What's your starting five?
I said.
Oh wait, he didn't give you.
No, I didn't. I said B when I submitted my grades to Ayrton, but I feel like incomplete is what I would have chose if I knew that was an option. So I would say incomplete just because who we assume would be the starting five, and even in a game that we did see the breadth of the roster available, Grayson said, no, that's not the starting unit. Ryan Dunn is going to the reserve unit, and I'm in there with the starting group. So it's incomplete until we see a sustained stretch of games where we can actually assess it.
Let me say this. In these exercises, anything is possible. So you guys,
shout
in
out
the
KG.
Future, you want to give a Z and explain it? You give a Z.
I almost put a fire emoji for one of these. And I guess we'll have to revisit that, Ayrton, before we post it to socials.
Oh, maybe we could have put a fire emoji on the bench mob because that is a group of guys that we have seen consistently. Obviously, some of them go into the starting lineup, come out of the starting lineup, but I've been really, really high on this bench mob. Before I give my grade, let's make sure Steven gets his out.
By all means, you go ahead.
No, Steven, for the bench mob.
Go
for the bench mob, Steven.
Go crazy.
You know what we're doing? We're just passing the ball back and forth to each other, and I'm not shooting.
I'm passing and turning my back.
It's like semi-pro.
Well, I'm throwing it off the back of your head.
I'm doing the LeBron talking to my opposing team in the corner over there.
Sorry, Steven. I'll let you finish in a minute. But
there you go. There you go.
Gil, what would you grade the bench mob?
No, what do you think about the bench, Steven?
All things considered, there's very loud parts of it on both sides of the spectrum. I gave him a B. The guard play from the reserve unit and who's deemed to be in the reserve unit has been very, very, very good this season. The wings have been solid. The center room has been to the disdain of many. One particular culprit. We don't have to individualize guys at this moment because we're speaking as a group. All things considered, I gave them a B. A little bit of inconsistency here. They're not the highest in terms of points scored from that group as well. They are one of the more active units in terms of when there's 4 to 5 rotation guys on the floor. All things considered, I give them a solid B.
You and I have finally disagreed seriously on something because I give them an A+. Because you look at it, I'm including some of these guys that have been starting in that bench unit. Colin Gillespie, Jordan Goodwin stepped in to start. Ryan Dunn has started at times. Oso Iguodaro has had to step up. And these guys have done everything that's asked of them at any time. You've gone deep into your bench with Jamari Bouye and Isaiah Livers and guys that have come in and played well and played important minutes and roles for you. So, and they're also the guys that bring the vibes in a lot of ways too. So overall, I got to give them an A+ because they've proven that it's a deep bench. They've proven that these are guys that buy in fully in the culture, and they've proven if they have to step in to a starting lineup that they can hold their own. And that is everything that when I think of a bench that I want from my bench. So I had to give them an A+.
I was almost right in the middle, but I didn't go A-. I actually went with an A. I I think, ignored a little bit of the interior concerns just because of how impressed I've been with the vibes that we talked about, like seeing the engagement from the bench, seeing the activity from the bench when they're not on the court, the connectedness and all of that, the alignment, which we'll get to later. But then also the guys who are stepping up and playing a little bit, I guess punching up a weight class, so to speak, whether it's two-way guys, whether it's bench players playing starter minutes. So that was kind of the way I did it, the way I looked at it, and I still feel pretty good about it. But at the same time, it did show me that I really did choose to just ignore the bad parts of it.
Well, here's the thing. I went with an A as well because you have to understand that these are bench players, so they're not just going to be perfect, right? You're not just going to be getting star performances. There's going to be detriments. Now, I'll be honest with you. If we had been grading the bench before Oso has had this good stretch, basically Pacers game and beyond, I would definitely be lower, but I think Oso has actually turned into a net positive for this team, and the net rating for when he's on and off the court does show that as well. I've really enjoyed his minutes now as a backup center. Ryan Dunn coming off of the bench has been a really good burst of energy as well. And remember, Colin Gillespie has only started a couple of games this year. So if we're grading Colin Gillespie's entire season as a part of the bench, which we should be because that's where he's been coming from a majority of it, that's a huge part in this as well. Plus Isaiah Livers, Shamari Bouye. Obviously, you have guys that you're looking at and saying you're at least making an impact. The bench has won the Suns multiple games and multiple stretches. And I think when you look at that, like Jordan Goodwin against the Timberwolves, right, where he has 5 points in like 10 seconds and he was coming off the bench but was ending the game because your starters had fouled out. Like, you look at multiple guys that are margin players that have made more than a margin of difference for the Suns. I think you got to give them an A just because they've been good. And usually your bench is what you're trying to survive from when you're getting them on the court. They have been thriving with their bench on the court. And I think that's impressive.
It is, but so if everybody's giving almost everybody's giving the bench an A, and we haven't seen that group actually be the group that is deemed and built to be, how can they improve? And that's why I gave them a B, because
A++++, brother.
you just add a plus. Okay, got it.
I think it's an interesting perspective because I think it could be in the way you look at grading too. Because for me, I'm looking at it. I'm simply grading this 22 games as a snapshot of time, right? And where they could be better in that. And I actually think the standard of that grade raises in the second quarter of this season because of how they played in the first. So I think for me, that's where the improvement comes. My baseline of what average and expected is now higher than it was in that first quarter of the season.
Yeah, I was gonna say similar to that. It's like consistency. I think is like, all right, like just prove this wasn't a blip. Prove that you just didn't come out of the gates and caught people off guard. Kind of what we talked about with this team as a whole. All right, you got an A for this first quarter. Now, like you said, the standard is the new standard for what we expect from this second unit. And when more guys come in the lineup, your minutes might change a little bit. What you're asked to do could change a little bit. How can you adjust? And I think just being a six-man or being a rotation player, your adaptability is a big thing, and I think that does change. So I think it'll be interesting because we're probably grading them differently when this team gets closer to full strength or hopefully back to full strength.
Yeah, I think that when guys start sliding into positions here, when the starting lineup is fully back, I think they're just going to continue to get the same type of impact. Like, I know it's weird to say, okay, you might give the same amount of impact as a Jamari Bouye, but Jamari Bouye's just been a positive player. Right, so even if it's not them improving over time, it's just them sustaining a positive impact from your bench, and then your starters get better. That's how you raise the floor of your team. But look, there has been one theme for this entire season with the Suns, and it's a theme that Steven brought up and we started really tracking and talking about last year, which was void of this.
It turned into 2.5 players last season.
Yeah. The blue collarness of this team, rightfully so, Steven. We will start with you. What do they get for blue collarness?
Yeah, in terms of color, it's the most royal of blues that you can imagine.
I love it.
I give them an A+ for the blue collarness, and it's more than earned. it's a quality that they wear as part of their identity.
Yeah.
And I think that identity comes from the day-to-day approach. Guys are diving on the floor for loose balls and getting into scuffles that are because of competition, not because of disliking each other at practice. If that's happening on the practice floor from someone that's still wearing the same jersey as you, how can you act any differently than upping that when you're going up against someone that's an actual opponent? And I think that emanating from there is something that's truly part of their identity, and it's worn on the head coach's shoulders as well as the players.
Yeah, I have an A. I didn't go with the plus.
What?
Because,
No.
Yeah, talk to him,
Steven. When I think blue collar boy, I think you're getting in there, and they dress too fancy to be blue collar boys when they're on the bench.
Oh my
God!
Oh, it's too pretty. It's too pretty. It's too pretty.
It's too
Okay.
pretty for some of the guys.
So Colin diving on the floor and risking his entire collarbone.
Colin's an A plus to me. All right.
And then what about Jordan Goodwin?
Well, I mean, Jordan Goodwin's an A plus.
What about Dylan Brooks?
Dylan Brooks? After the Rico Suave thing.
No.
Hollywood.
Devin Booker going Mr. Rogers on the bench.
Hey, he's dope.
Or
He's
Mr.
dope on the
Mr.
floor.
Robinson maybe.
He's
Because
dope on the floor for some loose balls and took some charges. So who else? Colin Gillespie. We already mentioned him.
Jamar Bouye, blue collar boy. Grayson Allen puts his life on the line every game.
I mean, those
Brian
two guys.
Gregory.
In their
Ryan
fashion,
Dunn. What about Oso Iguodala, huh?
Yeah,
Mark Williams?
I'm sorry.
Does he put
I'm
in the work?
sorry. I go A. I gotta be different.
I participated in the yelling like I didn't give them an A2. Sorry.
But you didn't know. You didn't know we could give A pluses. You didn't know you could give A pluses.
I would have, yeah.
So
it was a
are
high.
you revising?
I would have given an A plus.
Now he's hiding behind that plus.
Yeah,
shield.
behind
I see
the
how
plus
it
for
is.
sure. See, but my rationale and reasoning is that whatever the highest possible is just that everybody that's being asked to be a blue collar boy, they are doing it, and they're doing it at a high level. And then there are guys who are, in a sense, you don't really expect the blue collar things from. They're also doing that, which sets the tone and the example. And there's everybody on this roster. I don't think there's been a moment where we're like, man, he should have dove on that floor. He should have played a little bit harder. And the way that they play super hard, that's the identity that this team has. Everybody gets an A or A plus, I should say.
I grade everybody on the Steven scale.
Clearly not, because he gave them an A plus.
No. Nobody works as hard as you out at that arena, so I can't give them an A plus until they meet your standard.
But what I will say, to bring some context to what you said,
Mr.
they don't get to where they are record wise if they're not putting in some of the same work that I'm putting in. So if that provides it, then you're giving the floor to redact your A and up that to an A plus.
Fine, throw the plus on me into good times.
There we go. Well, we get that figured out. I'm going with a C for blue collar. No, I'm kidding. I went with an A plus myself as well, for all the reasons that you all stated. And again, they don't win a lot of these games if it's not for the fact that they work hard. I mean, again, that Lakers game, hard work is literally the only thing that won them that game. You're going up against talent like that. Luka having a game like that, you got to put in the work to pick up these wins, and they've been doing it from having an extended training camp and being in the gym, working with each other in extra hours all the time, having a chip on your shoulder. They just check every single box. They also check the next box in Antics as well.
That's that dog bleep. That's worth it.
You can say it.
I'm not saying it. That's worth it.
That's that dog shit.
Dylan Brooks.
Yeah.
Colin Gillespie. All of them.
Oh, man.
Very much the quality they wear on their shoulders together.
Yeah, I mean, you see it in the post-game interviews, which I think plays into our next category here.
Exactly.
Which is antics. Steven, you're Mr. Anti-Antics himself, but as far, not like you're against them, but you just don't do them. You ain't really being out there on the antics.
I'll just talk.
You do talk. When we play, you do talk.
That is my antic, is just talking.
You do talk.
Yeah.
Nobody compliments their defense when they play more than Steven.
It's true. Good defense, coach.
He literally says that to himself. It's awesome. I love it.
Dude. The antics get an A plus from me. Start with Dylan Brooks. Then there's a gap. And then it continues on with Dylan Brooks and company. And then there's people independent of Dylan. The things he's done in games, the touching between plays, just getting under guys' skin from the tip-off, in the first possession and letting guys know that he just scored on them as he's going back to then defend them on the other end of the floor, that sets a tone. That's leadership. A+ for that. I think him and the Villain Jr. things and the antics with that have gotten more out of Colin Gillespie than Colin would have gotten out of himself without that kind of part of leadership to kind of put him on a pedestal, if you will, because of the way he wears those qualities. That matters. We just got done talking about the post game and the way they celebrate each other's successes and the wins that come with individual success. That matters. I think the everyday stuff at practice that we always document, the interactions, guys creeping up behind media members to ask their own questions to the player that's at the podium, all of that stuff matters. So antics-wise, it's all been conducive to winning, and I think that's the most important part for me. It gets an A+ for me.
Yeah, I legit went B. I'm not joking here. But because I'm a prankster and I have not seen enough antics yet.
What haven't they done?
I have not seen them dancing with workout equipment out on the court before the game. That is an antic I need to see. I have not seen them pour popcorn into a rookie's car. Wow. That is an antic I need to see, which I experienced firsthand when P.J. Tucker did that to Devin Booker. Pretty sure Devin sold that car because he could not get all the popcorn out of it. I have not seen them do any of the kind of things that Shaq used to do in that locker room.
That's a good thing.
I mean, they still...
That's a good thing.
Okay.
That's
I'm not talking the weird nakedness stuff that Shaq used to do, but one of the best things that Shaq did, Lou Amundsen used to ride a bike to the arena because he lived downtown Phoenix. Shaq would steal that bike every day and hide it in different places in the arena.
Bro, you just want them to be mean to each other.
I
want you to key. I want to key their
no,
car.
That's a step too far. If you're causing actual harm, that's a step too far.
I was gonna say maybe the rookies haven't gotten their cars popcorn because they're good rooks and they're on top of their rookie duties.
There's no such thing as a good rook. You always got to put popcorn in the car.
Anything wrong? Anything wrong?
I mean, you looked at me funny. Popcorn in the car. Like they made who was it? Kendall Marshall wear a Dora the Explorer backpack around. Like I need those kind of antics.
These more antics. Yeah. Well, I agree. I want more. I went B+, and I want more in the sense of up to this point in the season, we got a couple interviews, a couple moments on the court that we consider to be the signature ones. I want to have a couple more signature moments, a couple more where we think back to this first quarter of the season. What are the antics? What are the moments? What are the things that happen? Getting under more people's skins. Obviously not like picking up technical fouls, unnecessary technical fouls, but a couple more dust-ups here and there to let you know this team isn't to be messed with. Nothing malicious, but just, establish yourself. That dog in different types of ways. So I'm excited to see them do more. I think they will do more. I think it's kind of one of those things where when they have the real full compliment, like you go back and get your big brother, now it's like, all right, now we really can go. I think we'll see more antics as the season goes on.
Y'all are tripping. Y'all are absolutely tripping. This is an A+++. Dylan Brooks is getting into a fight with another team star player 3 seconds into each game. Pascal Siakam, DeMar DeRozan, LeBron James. Think about just the Lakers game alone. Dylan Brooks calls Gabe Vincent a little baby.
That's true.
Jordan Goodwin is getting into it on the Suns bench with Devin Booker with LeBron James. Dylan Brooks goes up to high-five Luka Doncic in the middle of his free throw. Dylan Brooks is doing the crotch chop to the Lakers fans. You've got Colin Gillespie hitting shots and going, I make those. In just one game alone, you get more viral moments from this team than some teams put together for the entire season. That's one game.
You name 3 guys. Those guys can have A+. The rest of them need to step it up. I need my team to be more like a sketch comedy troupe.
Dude, you've got the entire team going up in post-game interviews to people saying dog shit. Like, you've got guys that are getting into it every single possession. Like, this team is like the team of antics. They're like the #1 antics team in the NBA. Like, what are we talking about here?
I need more.
Yep.
I'm fine. I can give another plus. Like, seriously, they have gone above and beyond with the antics in my mind.
Right. I need the gorilla to be better and funnier. Like, I need the whole thing to crank it up to 11. All right.
Need some coach antics too. Get in there.
Yeah,
I mean, Jordan not doing that.
I want an animated challenge call.
The challenge he had in Oklahoma City in the second quarter, which was the last one of the game, I think. I forgot what the context was, but it was like a Nick Richards foul. You even mentioned that.
I mean, that's sicko stuff. I need him to do like the Greg Popovich
Get
player.
thrown?
No, hack a player in the first second, and then do one of these when he had them hack a Shaq, and then
how many years of experience you gotta get before you can do that.
Then you get a B until you get those years of experience.
I'm ready for him to pick up 2 tech. They're just down 15. He's like, I'm gonna fire this team up. I'm getting thrown out.
See that throw a chair. That would be awesome. Look, I think Antics. This is one of the easiest grades that I could get.
Keep the chair thrown to an absolute negative. If you know, you know.
I want Jordan not to go out there and give the chop crotch and go, hey, I'll spend $35K.
Yeah,
too.
Dylan Brooks got fined $25,000, and then also Dylan Brooks is calling out the refs after games well.
Dylan Brooks is the clown prince. He gets
Dylan Brooks is headbutting basketballs.
Oh.
He's literally going boom and headbutting it to get a delay game. Like I don't care if it's just a couple players. Dylan Brooks alone brings a team's antics to an A, and then everybody else who's doing it too, that goes to the A+++.
We haven't had enough celebrities at the games on the sideline. Like, there's so many more antics.
Elvis was there last game.
But that was in LA.
Then he left the
in
building.
Phoenix.
Yeah, look, Sam Levitt and Jordan Tyson were there. So, look, what about this last one? Are we all aligned on the alignment side of things? Our final grades before we get to our overall grades. Steven, what are you grading alignment?
I gave him an A for alignment. And I think there's a little bit more they can get from that, but I think for everything that they've shown through this first quarter, they're ahead of where even we could have expected they would be at the best version of themselves through 22 games now. So I give them a solid A.
Yeah, you can't be in full alignment until you have everybody.
Correct.
So I'm going with A here. They've definitely been aligned, but that A+, I need to see Jalen out there. I need full alignment.
Also with an A, so we're aligned so far with our alignment. I'm with an A. Uh-oh. That's the face of somebody who's not aligned.
A++.
It's not an A++.
plus.
It's not an A+++++++.
Add
It's
another
not.
plus.
It's not a grade that we've seen.
Oh, God.
Oh, okay.
My alignment is at infinity.
I'm impressed that Erik had figured out where that was on the keyboard to put it in there.
My alignment's at infinity simply because I get it. We haven't seen everybody, but this team is still clicking. The franchise has a direction. And look, I am happy and excited to watch Suns basketball the most that I have in a very long time. And I'm more aligned than I ever possibly imagined I could be. And I know a lot of fans are too. So I'm rolling with infinity. But I guess if I had to give it an A, I'd give it an A+++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++++ out.
How do you average out infinity into an A
That's
to
up to
F
Ayrton to
scale?
decide.
Well, you you divide it by what now? Or like,
Look,
Jesus.
Steven, what is your overall grade?
Overall, they get a straight even A from me.
Nice.
All things considered, room for improvement, yes. Perfect score, no. Very, very, very good, yes. Well ahead of schedule, absolutely. Context of adversity via injuries and a ridiculous schedule that's second to no one in the league, all is an A for me.
A for me for alignment. They've done it. They've got where they needed to be, and that's it.
Oh boy, here I am, the harsh guy. But I actually averaged these grades out. I was a nerd and put the numbers in. And I gave each thing a number with my grades.
I
So
love this.
here you go. So it averaged out to a B+,
Wow.
which, it's like, but it was right on the line. But I had to be honest with my grading scale. So it was like B+ right on the A- line. So, I mean, if you talk to me, if you come back for extra credit, I'll give you an A-.
B for Bill Simmons. I see that.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Look, obviously, averaging out infinity, it's like, what are you going to do about that? I went overall grade as an A. Like, if
Hold
we're
on.
just being
How do you have that many pluses in infinity and it averaged to an A?
I'm just saying, it averages out to an A. Always room for improvement. But overall, we all feel good about where the Phoenix Suns are, and I think that's all that matters.
Absolutely.
I would say factoring in some of the things like the loss to the Memphis Grizzlies because of transition defense and just a simple miscue took them back for me. And then going to get the win that they did against the Lakers and the ways in which they did it, the extra credit part kind of worked itself out over the course of the season. And it kind of atoned for some of the mistakes. So that's how I landed with the A.
Yeah, it's balanced. And I know we talked about it a little bit too, like room for improvement. I think that 13-9 is, again, better than we would have thought coming into the year. It's better than maybe the schedule would suggest that it would be right now. But I also still think the encouraging part is that they can be better, and there's room and there's growth. And I do see it averaging out, again, if I average the grades averaging out to an A with the way they can perform moving forward. And I think that will pay off dividends for this team.
I didn't have Gil down as a math nerd, but now
I once was, and then it's kind of once they start throwing letters in math, that was when I was done with math.
You're a math purist.
Yeah,
stick to the numbers.
Yeah.
The other thing for me, especially why I gave him an A instead of a B+ or a B even, talked about them atoning for mistakes over the course of the season. The other part was they're like maybe 3 games or 4 games ahead of where I thought they would be record-wise. Yeah. And I was on the high side compared to a lot of things we saw from other media members and fans and their perception of the team coming in. They're still 3 games ahead of where I had them at this point. So I can't give them anything less than that if I'm looking at what I deemed as high-level expectations relative to everyone else, and they're ahead of even that. So keep up the good work. Job is certainly far from finished, and you still got a lot of things to figure out in the schedule that's not going to allow for you to do anything less than that, but job well done so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's an exciting time to be a Suns fan, and obviously we're building up for Friday. Kevin Durant playing the Phoenix Suns, presumably for his first time since being traded over the offseason. We still have got one more show. In the meantime, in between that will be a mailbag tomorrow. So keep your eyes out for @PHNX_Suns on Twitter. We will be posting that mailbag tweet later today. So send your questions in there. We'll also be sending something in the Die Hard Discord as well. You can join the Die Hard Discord for just $26. We get all the other benefits of being a Die Hard as well. A free shirt or a hat when you sign up, plus access to exclusive content and so much more just by becoming a Die Hard today at gophnx.com/join. This is a very limited time offer, so get in while you can. In the meantime, just a reminder to everybody to always follow @PHNX_Suns. We're passing you along the latest news, whether it comes to Devin Booker or Rasheer Fleming and Kaman Malawach going to the G League. So throw us a follow there @PHNX_Suns on Twitter and on Instagram as well. Of course, we appreciate the Freckled Mamba making all the magic happen. A++++++++ to the Freckled Mamba.
Infinity.
Right, just give
No,
him
well, no. I mean, we got to give him something to work towards here.
Yeah, fair.
Bulletin board material for the Freckled Mamba. You can follow him @Freckled Mamba. You can follow Steven @StevenPG3. That's Steven with a PH. You can follow Espo @Espo. Catch him on Southwest Bias every morning. You can follow Gil @GilMcGregor_. You can follow me @ErikRuby. And remember, even if you think your NBA team can be embarrassing sometimes, you'll never be the Los Angeles Clippers releasing Chris Paul in the middle of the night, and then later that day, Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan, and Blake Griffin are all on a FaceTime call laughing at you, and CP3's posting a screenshot about it on his Instagram story. The Clippers are always going to be the Clippers, and we're thankful that's not us.
Ahoy, hoy.